Listen, we need to talk about Kiké Hernández because there's an update that changes everything about how we should view his potential return to the Dodgers. And honestly, the more I think about this situation, the more it makes perfect sense for both sides. So Kiké went on Adam Ottavino's show, Baseball and Coffee, and dropped some real details about what's actually going on with his elbow. This isn't your typical vague injury update where players dance around the truth. He laid it all out there. They went in expecting to do an extensor release, standard procedure, nothing too crazy. But when the surgeons actually got in there, they found something way worse. The thing was completely torn off the bone. Completely. So what was supposed to be a simple release turned into a full extensor repair, and now he's looking at being out for a month or two next year. Now here's where this gets interesting. We all watched Kiké struggle last year after that late May injury. The numbers tell the story loud and clear. He hit 203 with 8 doubles and 10 home runs across 92 games. The strikeouts were up, the production was down, and he just wasn't the same player we're used to seeing. After he aggravated that elbow, everything fell apart offensively. But you know what? None of that mattered when October rolled around. The guy played in all 17 postseason games, every single one. And that double play in Game 6, come on, playing shallow, slightly out of position because Dave Roberts told him exactly where to be, making that incredible read on Barger and turning two with Miguel Rojas on base. That play was absolutely pivotal. There's a legitimate argument that without that defensive gem, the Dodgers don't win the World Series, period. So now we're looking at a situation where he'll miss the first month or two of next season. And honestly, that might be the perfect scenario anyway. Think about what the Dodgers actually need from Kiké. They don't need him grinding through April and May, accumulating at-bats in meaningless regular season games. They need him healthy and ready when it matters most. They need him for October. That's always been his value proposition. Missing those first 2 months actually opens up some interesting opportunities. You've got guys like Alex Friese who could get extended looks. Maybe Dalton Rushing gets a shot in left field if that's the direction they want to go. Perhaps they move Teoscar back there and put Andy Pages in right, then trade for another outfielder. Whatever the plan is, this injury timeline gives them flexibility to distribute playing time and reps early in the season without anyone feeling slighted. And here's the business angle that nobody's really talking about. If Kiké had been completely healthy throughout the postseason, if he'd been raking and making highlight plays every night, what do you think would have happened? Other organizations would have been lining up to overpay for him. Some team would have convinced themselves that he's the missing piece and thrown him a multi-year deal just to get him away from the Dodgers. Because everyone can see he's got that secret sauce, that winning ingredient you can't teach. But now, with the injury concerns and the surgery recovery, I think we're looking at a 1-year deal, somewhere in that $6 to $6.5 million range. Maybe it gets done close to spring training when they can utilize that 60-day injured list. That's the sweet spot for both sides. The Dodgers get their guy back without breaking the bank, and Kiké gets to stay where he belongs. Because make no mistake, this dude needs to retire as a Dodger. If you're a real Dodgers fan, you understand what he brings to that clubhouse. We're not just talking about baseball skills here. We're talking about the intangibles, the energy, the swagger, that nasty competitive edge he brings every single night. You want to talk about another moment that perfectly encapsulates who Kiké is? Remember Andy Page's incredible catch in Game 7, the one everyone's still talking about? Well, statistically, Kiké had a 96% probability of making that catch himself. But Pages collides with him. Kiké goes tumbling down, and he doesn't even want to look because he thinks the World Series just ended. He's convinced Pages didn't make the play. Then he looks up, sees Pages somehow held onto it, and he's smiling and laughing. That could have been Willie Mays territory for Kiké. Another legendary defensive moment, but instead he's just happy his teammate made the play. That's the kind of guy we're talking about. That's the mentality you need in your dugout when everything's on the line. And speaking of moments that mattered, Kiké had some amazing things to say about Yoshinobu Yamamoto on that same podcast. He's talking about how Yamamoto has won championships more than half the years he's been playing professional baseball, whether that's in Japan or here in the States. The guy won the World Baseball Classic. He's just a winner everywhere he goes. Then Kiké brings up that quote from Yamamoto's press conference where he said losing is not an option. And Kiké's reaction, he had goosebumps. Talk dirty to me, he says. That's the kind of competitive fire this team feeds off. That's what makes October different. When you've got guys like Yamamoto making those declarations and guys like Kiké feeding off that energy, you create something special. Now, look, I've heard through various channels that there's a really good chance he's coming back. The Dodgers have the flexibility to do whatever they want at this point. They're in the driver's seat. If they wanted to get younger at that utility role, if they wanted to go in a completely different direction, they could absolutely do that. Nobody would blame them for exploring other options. But here's the thing. They know what he brings, and I'm not just talking about the stuff that shows up in box scores. Sure, they can find someone else who can hit 200 with some pop and play multiple positions. That production is replaceable on paper. But what Kiké brings to the table goes way beyond what you see on Baseball Reference or Baseball Savant or the back of a baseball card. He's got something you can't quantify. It doesn't show up in WAR calculations or exit velocity charts. You just know it when you see it. You feel it in the dugout. You see it in how the other guys rally around him. You watch how he prepares, how he competes, how he handles big moments. And the Dodgers know that if October comes around and their dugout looks flat, if nobody's stepping up to make the big defensive play or deliver the clutch hit, they're going to look around and realize they made a mistake. There are signings you can regret and move on from pretty easily. There are players where you say, yeah, we can find that somewhere else, no big deal. But Kiké's not one of those guys. This is someone who's been part of multiple championship runs, someone who shows up when it matters most, someone who younger players look up to and learn from. That veteran presence, that championship pedigree, that ability to stay loose and keep things fun while maintaining that killer instinct, you don't replace that easily. The Dodgers are too close to something truly special to let one of their biggest glue guys walk away. They're building something sustainable here, something that can compete for championships year after year. And guys like Kiké are essential to maintaining that culture. So, yeah, expect Mr. Kitteber to be back in Dodger blue next season. The timeline works out perfectly. He'll be ready when they need him most. The price will be right for both sides. And most importantly, he'll be where he belongs, wearing the uniform he's helped bring 2 championships to in recent years. This isn't just about baseball decisions or roster construction. This is about understanding what makes championship teams tick. And the Dodgers, to their credit, seem to get that. They understand that sometimes the most important moves aren't the flashiest ones. Sometimes it's about bringing back the guys who know what it takes, who've been there before, who can help guide everyone else through the chaos of October baseball. Kiké Hernández is coming home, and honestly, that's exactly how it should be.